Okay, so because this is meant to be a base coat for our object and not the finishing detail of our object, I might just go over this and just blur it just a little bit, just so that we have less of that harsh definition between the shading and the highlights of our map. And so okay, yeah, I feel better about that. So we've got a sort of almost like a roof of the mouth type texture going on here. So that's probably a better starting point. We may bring back that that detail in later on, but we'll use a slightly more subtle color variation, so it doesn't quite look like black and white differences between at the edges of those textures. Okay, so I'm going to focus on this area at the moment, the area that I've said before looks like a piece of corn, and I'm just going to see what sort of color variations we can put on this object here. So I'm going to mask my cavity again. I'm going to soften out that mask and reverse it. And that was holding Control both times. So Control click on the object to soften, Control click off the object to reverse the mask. So with that selected, I'm going to just bring this over to perhaps a slightly sort of bluer red, almost like a sort of a purplish color. And I'm just going to bring that saturation down just a little bit, and I'm definitely going to bring down my my RGB intensity. I'll try 6, see how that works, and I'll bring down my draw size while I'm at it. So now if I go over this, you can see that we're just sort of tinting that that area there with a more sort of a purplish kind of color. So there we go. If we take off our mask, we can see that we have that sort of that more purplish sheen on the raised portions there. Just bring back that mask, and I'm going to reverse it. And what I'll do now is I'll go over the areas that I want in shadow with it like this. So just to give it more of a sort of defined shading there. We'll see how that looks. So yeah, it is fairly bold, but we can see that that is starting to sort of come in. And if we just sort of go over it with the blur brush, just holding down Shift to get our blur up. And that's a little too much on that stroke. Just tapping one click at a time, just to sort of get a nice sort of subtle softening there. And so you can see we have that that texture coming through as being sort of slightly different to the rest of the object. Now a lot of these sorts of techniques require us to repeat the operation again and again until we sort of we build up the effect that we want, and that's particularly true for if we are using a mouse. It's a little bit more difficult to get the to get the variations that we need just on a single sort of pass. So I'm just going to go in and just sort of carefully go on each of these little bumps. And I'll just pause the video and go through all of these. Okay, so with just applying a little bit more color to all of those, and if I take the mask off, you can see that we've just lightened that up slightly. Now I want to go in there and darken up the rows here. So I'll just bring back the mask and reverse it. I'm just going to bring the draw size down, go down to a nice dark color, and just sort of go through each of these rows like this. And again, I'll just pause the video. Okay, so I've just applied that sort of dark shading to wherever it was unmasked, and if we unmask this object now, you can see that we're definitely getting a lot more definition between the nodules and the background. I can just come in and just sort of gently smooth out the edges here that I don't want to be too sort of clearly defined. So yeah, we can see that we have that that variation on that that object there, or that that texturing that we've put into it. So the next thing that I would like to focus on is this eye socket or little sort of pustulant boil, or whatever you want to make it. I like to think of it as sort of some sort of blind eye that's been sealed over, in keeping with the sort of face design. And so I'm just going to pull out and have a look at what we've got, and then I'm going to mask by cavity, reverse, soften the mask up, and zoom in. So what I would like that eye to look like, I'll call it an eye from now on, is just sort of give it a sort of an orangey yellow hue. So I'm just going to bring up my draw size and my focal shift just to soften the edges of my brush, and with a fairly low intensity. Just going to come in here and make this. In fact, I might just sort of. I might leave this line coming in here a little bit, sort of, a little bit red. Okay. So now, if we go for a more sort of deeper orangey red color around this edge here. And bring the draw size down. And I'm going to smooth that out a bit. And add a little bit more sort of yellow. That's getting into green, so I'll bring that back. Sort of fairly high saturation of yellow. I'm just going to put that in this sort of central area here, and then smooth that out like that.